of the house. It allegedly made growling and grunting sounds. The family reported feeling threatened enough to arm themselves. So when we last checked with, our Bigfoot research, the Minerva Monster came up. We were taking a look at some of the Bigfoot sightings in March of 2026 in Ohio. But now we're going to take a little look backwards. So what is the Minerva Monster? Let's see what it knows about that historical event. 1978. Yeah, I thought that's about the time period in which it occurred. I remember hearing about this as a kid. We see some similarities here between what was reported in March versus what was seen in 1978. Several witnesses, including families, described similar features: 6 to 7 feet tall, muscular build, glowing or reflective eyes, and a strong odor. In March, they were saying strong ammonia-like odors. The creature was reportedly seen at night, sometimes approaching homes or peering into windows. Some accounts included footprints and disturbances in the wooded areas. All right, so let's take a look at the most famous encounter. One of the most widely discussed sightings involved the Everhard family, who claimed the creature approached their home late at night. According to their account, the being came within a few feet of the house. It allegedly made growling and grunting sounds. The family reported feeling threatened enough to arm themselves. This story helped turn the incident into a regional and eventually a national story. These sightings were investigated by local law enforcement and researchers interested in cryptids. Media coverage spread quickly, especially as the case resembled earlier Bigfoot reports across the U.S. Okay, so the Grassman, I think, is also something that is Ohio related. Not sure if you can see that. Oh, yeah. It's a regional cryptid, primarily based in Ohio. We'll get back to that. Skepticism and explanations. Despite the excitement, no physical evidence, bones or clear photos. Now here we go. No clear photos, but this is 1978. The thing that I found baffling was in March of 2026, there were several different reported sightings by people who were not connected, so no relation, no known knowledge of each other, and they reported some very similar sightings, but no one took a picture. We all have these phones in our pockets, these high definition phones, and not one person took a picture. That's where I that's where the skeptic in me really sort of takes center stage for me, at least. It is one of Ohio's most famous cryptid cases, especially in Northeast Ohio. It is still discussed in Bigfoot research circles, local folklore, paranormal activities, and documentaries and books. Take a look at this here. Some enthusiasts consider it one of the more compelling regional sightings, while skeptics see it as a classic example of how stories can spread and evolve. And I think, at least in this particular case, this is where I am. Now, for 1978, I think I'm more willing to accept that something happened, whereas I'm less willing to accept that in March of 2026, in which visual evidence should be very easy to come by. All right, so let's go back up to let's take a look at this Bigfoot now. The sidebar here. So obviously it's telling us that the Minerva Monster and all that which was sighted in Ohio clearly related to Bigfoot. I think that much is very clear at this point. Yeah, let's take a look right here. Ohio appears to be a hotbed of sightings. These are some actual tracks. Yeah, so this is essentially what I assume is a regurgitation, but the regurgitation of what probably exists in Wikipedia. But let's take a look at the Grassman and what that says. So the Grassman, it's a regional Ohio cryptid. Salt Fork State Park primitive campground. Parking permit required. Yeah, so Bigfoot Ridge. All right, so there's Ohio and Michigan reports. And you can see all the hot spots where the Grassman has been seen. A regional cryptid from Ohio. Folklore, often described as that state's version of Bigfoot, reports depict a large, hairy, ape-like humanoid inhabiting rural areas and wooded hills, particularly around Salt Fork State Park in southeastern Ohio. The creature is central to local legends, blending frontier myth and modern cryptozoology. So, first reports 19th century, notably near Minerva. 7 to 9 feet tall, very consistent there. Behavioral traits, allegedly builds grass huts and travels in family groups. Comparable cryptids, Bigfoot, skunk ape, and the Yeti. Skunk ape? I'm not looking that one up. The Grassman derives from early sightings of a shaggy creature seen gathering tall grasses to build nests or primitive shelters. Folklorists link the stories to settler-era legends of wild men in the Ohio Valley. The reported encounters cluster around Minerva, Salt Fork State Park, and rural eastern Ohio. Now, here's something. Deep growls, thrown stones, and footprints measuring over 16 inches. Are there any images from the original 1978 event? I think we already know there are not, or at least anything that would be a confirmation. There are no widely accepted or verified photographs of the Minerva Monster or the original 1978 sightings, but this is what I was hoping to get. What does exist? The events were heavily covered by local newspapers, and there were interviews and written reports. Law enforcement and investigators searched the area, but no confirmed photos or film evidence. Why aren't there photos? Several factors work against it. Okay, most encounters happened at night. Yeah, camera technology back in the 1970s was not equipped to handle low light photography. Sightings were brief and unexpected. This was 1978. People didn't have cameras readily available like today. Witnesses were often frightened, not focused on documenting the event. Images you might see online. Okay, yeah, this is also what I was hoping to get. Recreations or dramatizations from later documents like the 2015 film about the case. We're gonna have to see if we can find that. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yes. The Minerva Monsters documentary film revisiting the case. Oh, it's Small Town Monsters. Yeah, Seth Breedlove. I've been down. I've watched several of his documentaries. Small Town Monsters. Yeah, so he's from the Ohio area. It's not surprising that he would have done this. All right, the Minerva Monster. This comes from. Yeah, it's going to detail the Minerva Monster flap. And remember, a flap is a series of of sightings within close geography or close proximity or in a reasonable time frame. And yeah, I think they're referencing once again Seth Breedlove's film. Let's see if he ever completed that. I'm interested to know. The Minerva Monster. Yeah, so let's just, I don't want to go too far into this, but I have no problem promoting this man's work. He's done some excellent stuff.
was August of 1978. Our shift started at 10:30, and as I left the sheriff's office to head out into my area, I got a call to go to a house on Lincoln Street East, which is Route 30 US.
Yeah, so the Minerva Monster movie is out there. DVD is $11.99. He's also got a podcast. Yeah, I've seen a couple of Seth Breedlove's films, Small Town Monsters. I recommend them highly. They're not Hollywood productions. They're very good storytelling. There's no AI, at least in the ones I've seen. It's all handcrafted, so highly recommended. Okay, I think we're going to stop with Bigfoot for now. I'm going to get into some deep sea mysteries and deep sea cryptids, but until then, at least for now, don't go wandering off into the forests at night alone.